So on the left is your before, and on the right is one of the practice swings you're making. So the big thing is that your backswing, gets under the plane, and the face gets a little bit shut. But for you, the face gets more shut at the top due to where your right hand is going. So what happens with you is at the top, your right palm starts to turn more down, as if you were going to bounce a ball, right? And that actually makes the shaft get too vertical. Remember, the shaft is going to respond to what's happening with the face. So when we look at golfers that rotate the face early in the takeaway, they often get flat halfway back. Golfers that close the face early or too late in the takeaway actually get a little bit steeper. So you've ended up in the steep category. So if you look at swing plane, as you transition, of course you're extremely steep. That grip end's pointing down towards your toes. And if you were actually transitioning on plane, the grip end would actually be pointing itself more out beyond the plane. So that would be actually on plane in a transitional stage. So basically you're coming down extremely steep, which means you need a very sharp shallowing effort right at the bottom. So as you start to shallow, you see the handle goes up a little bit, the shaft starts changing its original shaft position, and of course for you, if you shallow too much, you end up hitting behind it. Okay, so if you're hitting behind it, that means the club is ascending. Or if the ball's up on a peg, an ascending hit can work out for it. But in a chip or a pitch, in the sand, off of the tight line of the fairway, it's going to be a real tough chore for you. Coming through, the club face is really turned down, so you can get some smother hooks in there. And of course, the exiting point of the shaft is too vertical up through your shoulder. So what we're trying to do is recognize what's happening now and say, if we did something different on the opposite end, what would that feel like? And for you, it would feel like you're going to lift the head so that you're pointing it behind you. It would feel like that your right palm is going more from bouncing to catching, which would be pointing your thumb behind you, or catching something out of the sky. There's a rotation there. And then it would feel like you're swinging more around your body, baseball style. Watch this a couple of times. That little practice swing, kind of like the Corey Pavin rehearsals, represents the exact opposite of what your tendency is. Point it behind, drop it under, swing it around. Very much like Trevino, very much like Sergio. Of course, if we just changed your backswing and you still shallowed it really hard coming down, you hit even further behind it. And that's why, as I'm trying to get you to make this change, it's all about seeing the swing as a whole, the big picture. Like Peter Jacobsen trying to imitate somebody so that you can really capture the feeling of the backswing, but also the attitude of the downswing and the follow-through. So that's a really big difference there. You can see how, even though we're swinging up at a higher object, if this is your original plane, now you've got the shaft coming down more parallel to it. So the only difference between this and a golf shot would be the fact that in a golf shot, we'd just be bent over a little bit more. So from here, here we are hitting shots. Up, under, and around. That was a good rehearsal right there. See, that one there could have flattened a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, we're getting a different bottom to our swing. Mm-hmm. We're getting much different flight. Yeah, thinking our way through it to make it more sense.
That was good.
That was really good, yeah. We start to compare these. Right, so this is where your shaft plane will be at impact. I know you like to set up a little bit short ball there. Right, so here's our takeaway, more up versus the old takeaway under. So it's just the exact opposite, right? Mm-hmm. Here we are pointing that club more behind us with the face more open with the right palm. And here we are more vertical. So if you start drawing lines in here, I mean, there's really no contest in terms of where the shaft is. And what we're really doing is we're just giving you much bigger opportunity to find the bottom of your swing in the right spot. Really steep. That one just a fraction above the plane. So if you dropped it a little bit more, the shaft would end up a little bit more here. Right? But we're definitely close enough. There's impact, and look at the difference in how the shaft is matching up at the ball versus where it used to be. I mean, that's a pretty big difference. And of course, the follow through up with the face closed. Look how closed that face is. It's like, I know it. It's turned towards the target.
I lost it in my hands.
Turned towards the target. Watch this one here. Right on around your body. Absolutely. Right on plane. Hardly turned down at all. And there's your finish. So it's really cool to watch these things at regular speed. Look at this one. That's really good. So we know that where it stands right now, we know that you tend to maybe lose your posture a little bit in the backswing. We know that you start a little bit off the ball. But those things for you are just helping you get more shallow. So as it becomes easier for you to hit these positions, you might find it more comfortable to stay a little bit more in your posture, a little more comfortable to stay a little bit more over the ball in your setup. But the shots you're hitting outside, I mean, the contact is really good. Bottom of the swing's in the right spot. And as long as you've had issues with your contact, I mean, I would focus on really just trying to exaggerate these attitudes. Right, that's where we started, kind of over the shoulder and swinging it around. Right. And as I'm doing that, that was clearly over the plane, right? But when we first started, I didn't care about that. I just cared that the top was a little bit more over here. And then the follow-through was a little bit more around over there. Because at least that got us on top of the ball versus hitting behind it. So on the second one, all I did was add that little Sergio Freddie Couples arm drop. So now I point it up over my shoulder. And my arms drop a little bit right there. Real nice plane, right? And then back on around my body. While I was demonstrating this, I was actually doing it exactly like you, where I was actually allowing my head to raise up. Bam. And then the final one would be your end game, where you actually stay a little bit more bent forward. The head doesn't go up. We still point it over, and then it drops a little under. And then we swing around. But there's a progression to this. And the biggest key is to change the culture of what we've been doing or what we've done for a long time and start balancing out the old swing with a swing that would be the exact opposite. You're getting rid of that habit of always being steep, shallowed, and up over the shoulder. That's where we started. Here we had the drop right there. And then finally we just sort of stayed a little more bent over. Same thing. And for you, that feels a little bit like Sergio, right? So watch how he kind of lets that club point over there, right? And watch how his arms kind of drop down. See how shallow that club is? Holy cow, right? Well, from there, he can't stand up. He can't swing up. He's got to swing around. Exactly. So in your mind, as you're hitting shots, you feel kind of like that. Lay it off. Drop it under. Swing it around. Exactly. Lay it off.
Get that
drop it under.
Face. Get that right.
Yeah.
This move.
Exactly.
It's also easier to do that though when the club is going this way and not
absolutely.
in here. Because if I get it going in here,
if you get it going in there, right, you're going to want to flip it back the other way.
The swing I had last week was this one right here.
Yeah, right. So remember we talked about the
And then it
hand
went-
turning late in the swing. Right, so it lifts and then it kind of, you catch it over your shoulder.
Yeah, because I've seen your video where you go back here, and then I go, okay, now what?
So
It's got to be out.
if I was going to catch something that was below my waist, I would turn my hand here, right? If I was going to catch something over my shoulder, I would turn here. Right. I wouldn't catch something over my shoulder by turning here. I would throw my hand up and I would catch. Right? Yeah.
Not.
It'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't do it. So that's where we are. That was fantastic. You know,
Good. Very
definitely
good.
exactly what I would expect. When you came in, you said, "I don't expect to be able to do this right away," and then I said, "I expect that we can." So, but that's the whole goal, is to be
Well, I
able to
think
show you.
it's some of those tips, to begin with, and just continue to feel this, and the good thing is that I've been hitting it so bad that you can't make it worse. I always used to say that the number one theory in teaching golf is thou shalt not make the student worse.
Right. And my number one, my number one theory is, or mantra is big change fast, right? But also show the student what they're capable of. Right, because if you know what you're capable of, then you're excited to be part of the game. And a lot of coaches, they're so concerned with making a student feel uncomfortable, or they're so worried about having them hit it sideways for half an hour until they balance them out. They're afraid of losing them that they go, oh no, well maybe I'll just fix his grip, and maybe I'll just get him standing the right distance away. But that's not very inspiring to me. I want someone to hit it like they've never hit it before and go, wow, that was worth the price of admission. Right?
Well, my last lesson was at our club down there, and he said, I was telling him, I said, I'm hitting it so bad, and he had me swinging, and he gave me this whole ordeal, and he's been teaching a long time, but he said, you got to swing out at the target.
Yeah.
You got to get it going out here. You're getting it going over there. Well, you can imagine what that did to me.
Yeah, I can. Well, that looks very good.
Okay. Terrific.